Oh shit! And we're back. Okay. Been a few weeks since I did one of these. I keep intending to do them on the weekend, and then invariably I get sick on the weekend, and I don't want to do a podcast. So we're gonna get back to it. Uh, Fun day today. A crazy guy shot a bunch of people in a grocery store in Colorado. That's always fun. Um, and of course, the media, CNN, MSNBC, all the usual perpetrators. We're just talking about white men and mass shootings and how white men are the cause of most mass shootings. Except they forgot to mention that this guy's not white. His name is Ahmad, right? It, Obviously an Arabic name. I think he's Syrian, and he has posts on Facebook or wherever about you know. It basically looks like it's a form of jihad is what they're doing. Um, so I know that it's weird trying to figure out who's white and who's not. Basically, someone is white if the media and the government officials want them to be white. So this guy is now white. If a white guy had shot him, he would not be white. He would be an oppressed minority. But since he shot a bunch of white people, he's a white guy, and we're to blame, which is really crazy when you consider the fact that most shootings in this country are not committed by white men at all, but black men. They just don't want you to talk about it because that's bullshit. Everybody knows it. Um, got a few notes today. Let me see if I can pull up my. First of all, I'm not even going to get into the. I'm not even going to get into that. I don't know if y'all saw, but there was a federal judge who issued a dissent, basically going off on the media because they're basically. I keep saying basically. um, New considerations have arisen over the last 50 years to make the New York Times decision, which I believe I have faithfully applied my dissent, a threat to American democracy. It must go. The increased power of the press is so dangerous today because we are very close to one-party control of these institutions. Obviously, because you have Fox News, and that's who they all talk about, but then you have CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, any other number of regular NBC, ABC, CBS, Huffington Post, every online joint, uh, they're all left wing. They all have the same opinions. And when you Google something, I was trying to Google the flight suit thing for women. All that came up was, just wall after wall of those institutions saying that Tucker Carlson was a misogynist and that he got dunked on by all these people. Fox News is not on the first page. I don't think it's even on the second page. Like, you can't find a conservative outlet in the Google search results unless you dig and dig and dig. And that's by design, because if you go to DuckDuckGo and you search the same thing, the same keywords, oh, here's what I was looking for. But if you look through Google, you will never find it because they bury information. They don't want you to know what's actually going on. They just want you to toe the party line and never really get into what's actually going on in this country. One of the things that's actually going on in this country related to the shooting in Colorado is this HR 127. So what this is the Sabika Sheikh Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. So what they want to do is force you to get a license to own a firearm or ammunition. And it's not just that you have to get a license, it's that you have to go through 24 hours of training. You have to pay, was it like $800 a year. Uh, you have to, let's see, it basically prohibits the ownership of a firearm or ammunition without a license. So, oh, it also completely bans 50 calibers or greater. And then there's just a regular firearm license, and then there's also a military style weapons license, which is basically every gun I own is on the military style weapons, and then you have to go through more training for that and pay more money, and it's fucking ridiculous because I'm pretty sure we have this thing called the Constitution. You can get these little pocket versions. These are really useful. And they have in here this Second Amendment that says a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That is so fucking clear. They could not have made this any clearer. But of course, we have a kangaroo court that calls itself the Supreme Court, and they just make shit up when it matches their agenda. And they always have. Since 1934, the NFA, the National Firearms Act, they made automatic weapons illegal because all the gangsters were outgunning the police. Too fucking bad. Get the police some better guns. If the gangsters can buy them, why can't the police get them? They're available, right? They're around. Hell, you could confiscate them from the gangsters and use them against other gangsters. But no, instead of that, what they decided to do was violate the Constitution of the United States of America and put in an act where not only are automatic weapons made illegal, which goes completely against the entire purpose of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was designed so that people, the regular people around, me, you, everybody, can fight a war if necessary. We are the militia. A militia is every fighting age male. So basically like 14 to 70 probably at this point. That's the militia. The militia is the people, everybody. But no, what they decided to do was make it impossible for you to fight a war. And that's what this is really all about. All the way down the line, this is what it's about. So they made those guns illegal. They also made sawed-off shotguns illegal. And why? Why? Can anybody give me a real reason? Okay, it's easier to conceal. Well, shit, so was a pistol. They didn't make pistols illegal. They made suppressors, well, they're not illegal, but they're controlled by the feds. And why? Because they call them silencers. They always call them silencers on TV. It doesn't silence shit. It knocks it down like 10 or 20 decibels, so it's not a huge bang. It doesn't destroy your hearing like my hearing is shot because I've shot so many guns without hearing protection. I never really thought about it. And now it's kind of a little too late. And now there's a lot of shit I can't hear. But none of that has any logic to it. Save the fact that, okay, automatic weapons. I can see why they would want to make those illegal. I don't really give a fuck what they wanted. That's why we have a constitution, so that they can't just do everything that they want. That is why we have it. And let me just go over here. Here's something from Daniel Webster. It is hardly too strong to say that the Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions. There are men in all ages who mean to govern well, but they mean to govern. They promise to be kind masters, but they mean to be masters. They think there need be but little restraint upon themselves. The love of power may sink too deep in their own hearts. Is there any doubt that this is the case? I mean, you've got John Kerry's jackass self flying around without a mask on in first class, probably paid for by his rich ass wife, who is only rich because she married a guy who inherited a company and then the guy died. So John Kerry's living off catch-up money. He doesn't wear a mask, but they'll kick a 2-year-old off a plane like that for not wearing a mask. Does that make sense to anybody? No, it does not. Let's see. They want to take your guns away, but then the Democrats call in, 25,000 National Guard to guard Washington because they don't want you to be protected. They don't give a fuck about you. They want to keep themselves protected. And when they put in these little HR 127 type bills, if you have to, I forgot to mention one part, you have to go through a psychological evaluation and you have to renew this license over and over and over. The first 5 years, you have to do it every single year. After 5 years, you can do it every 3 years, okay? So you have this $800 a year bill, plus you got to go through the psychological evaluation, plus you got to pay for this training course, which is going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars because you have to go through 24 hours. So that's like 6 half days you have to go through. If you want any of the guns that I have, you have to go through another 24 hours of training. What they're trying to do is make it difficult to own a firearm or to be able to possess a firearm legally. This will affect poor people the most, obviously, because you've got to pay at least $800. Let's just say at least $1,000. At least $1,000 a year it costs for at least the first 5 years to even own a gun, to own any ammunition. Okay? Who's that going to affect? Is it going to affect me? It'll piss me off, but I can still pay it. Is it going to affect the people who live in neighborhoods where, it might be necessary for them to defend themselves on a regular basis? Yeah, because if you don't have much money and you live in a high crime area, you're not going to be able to afford a gun. And they can pass all the laws that they want. These are only designed to affect you and me. They are not designed to control crime in any way because that's the nature of criminals. They break the law. You can pass all the laws you want. It doesn't mean they're going to listen. And you will never find all the guns in this country. It will never happen. There are hundreds of millions of guns in this country. You'll never find them all. I've got guns you can't prove I've got. I could put them in a stump out in the woods somewhere. I could keep them in another building. I could put them in my wall, You can plaster over it. People will do what it takes to protect themselves. And if it comes to the point where we have a government that says you basically can't defend yourself and the Second Amendment is meaningless, we don't have to abide by that government anymore. Now, we go to Declaration of Independence. Right there, like 4th paragraph, okay? Like it's right here. That to secure these rights, 3rd paragraph, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. You do not owe any loyalty to this government. You owe loyalty to the Constitution. The government changes over and over. The government changes every 2 years. It changes even faster than that because we have bureaucrats who control much of our lives who are not elected. The government doesn't mean shit. If you take a government office, you swear an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are a lot of domestic enemies of the Constitution, and a lot of them are serving in the United States government because they have realized, and it has come to fruition over decades and decades and decades, that that's where all the power lies. I think what is it, like 8 of the 10, some crazy number like that. 8 of the 10 richest counties in America are surrounding Washington D.C. And why is that? Because all of the power is concentrated in Washington D.C. All the money flows through there. We have to send all our money to the IRS, and they decide if you get some back in the form of a refund. Some people don't get refunds. I don't get a refund. Maybe this year I will, because COVID kind of fucked everything up. But all these people have figured out that this is where they need to be in order to exert power. And it's not just money, but a lot of it is money. How do all these politicians get to be so fucking filthy rich? How? How is Nancy Pelosi worth millions of dollars? Like hundreds of millions, I think, of dollars. How is it that Joe Biden, who is fucking useless, was in the Senate for 50 years, and then all of a sudden, he's got millions of dollars? Where does that come from? It's not from his wife. She's not a real doctor. She's got a doctorate in education from some shit school. That's nothing. And I heard that her thesis looked like it was written by a child, which is not that surprising because, as I've said over and over, having a doctorate does not mean shit. Going to law school does not mean you're smart. It means that you can reasonably get through the LSAT and you can struggle your way through the regular classes. Going to med school does not mean that you are smart in the in the common form of the word. Okay, maybe you're book smart, right? Maybe if you go to law school, you're book smart. Most of these people don't know shit about the world because they grow up in these little bubbles of upper middle class people who never really had that many problems. They went to good schools, they had good neighborhoods, they never had to deal with people who were, ghetto types or anything like that. They don't come from the same world you come from. And that's where they get these twisted ideas about how the world works, because they have never experienced the real world. They don't know what it's like in other places. Anyone who tells you that the United States is systemically racist is actually retarded, okay? They are fucking retarded. You know how I know this? Because brown people do not fight and die to get to a country that is systemically racist, right? Because that's what's happening right now. The border is being flooded with people from Central America, from South America, from the Middle East, from Africa. They all come up through that border. Why do they do that? If this place is so terrible, if everybody is so racist, if you are just going to be hunted by the police, why the fuck are all these people trying to get here so bad? Why is it that they're willing to send their kids without any adult supervision through a fucking desert to try to get to the United States? Maybe it's that this is probably the best fucking country in the world right now. There's no other good options, right? So instead of just bitching and moaning and saying that everything is wrong with this country because you don't like some things that happened in the past, maybe you could just try to fix things and focus on things that would actually work, like cutting back on some welfare, making it so that people can't support entire families on welfare, because then that means they're going to make some guy stay around instead of having 18 baby daddies and just going through doing whatever they want, knowing that the government is going to support them no matter what. But of course, Joe Biden and the fucking Democrats are trying as hard as they can to do that. They want to increase the, they don't even want to do a tax credit. They want to give actual checks for having kids. All right. The reason they want to do this is because some people don't pay anything in income taxes. Okay. Very low income people don't pay shit in income taxes because there's not that much income there. So right now we have a child tax credit, a dependent child tax credit, where if you're paying taxes and you have kids, you can take a little bit off the taxes that you have to pay. Okay? They don't want to do that anymore. They just want to cut a check to people for having kids because a bunch of their voters, a bunch of these low education, low IQ people who have zero idea what's going on in the government, they want all those people to vote for them. So when you can throw money at somebody to get them to vote for you and you don't really care about the future of the country, you're going to do it, right? And they don't really care about the future of the country, and that's obvious from everything that they do. Just saying, oh, hey, the border's open. Yeah, come on in. Well, you know, there's going to be a lot of people coming. You got enough places for them to sleep? Are we just going to let them in? What about coronavirus? Are we going to let them in if they have a coronavirus? The answer is yes. And they're coming in, but you need to stay home and you need to wear 2 masks if you have to go outside, even if you have to go outside by yourself around no one, because they want to control you. That's all this is about at this point. It has been a year. Vaccines have been available to the public for over 3 months. If you want a vaccine, you can get it. My wife got a vaccine. She's not that old. She's very young. She's very young, and she's probably listening. She's very young, and she got a vaccine. Very, very, very beautiful too, by the way. Yeah. She got a vaccine. She's not a healthcare worker. She's not a frontline. You know, she's not a teacher. She's just a regular fucking person. She got a vaccine. Anybody can go get a vaccine that wants one. It's not that hard. They're widely available. You can just show up and get one. And I'm not going to do this shit anymore. I played along for a year. And now I view it as hostility if someone wants to make me wear a mask. Because, again, vaccines are available. If you need one, go get one. If you think that the vaccine isn't going to protect you, then what the fuck was the point of any of this? And if you think that the vaccine won't protect you, stay the fuck at home. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You can order your shit online. They'll deliver it to you. You don't have to go out anywhere. Stay the fuck at home. Shut your fucking mouth and let the rest of us who are not fucking pussies and who understand that we're going to die at some point live our fucking lives. Is it that hard? No, it's not. It's not that fucking hard. But they want to make it hard. Wow, I'm just ranting on today. All right, I talked about HR 127. It's complete horseshit. The reason they don't want you to have, the reason they're always talking about AR-15s, and in like the 90s, it used to be AK-47s, right? Because they realized that, you know, cops got this body armor, and they realized that an AK-47 round would go through it. Okay, so that was the problem. The AK-47s were the boogeymen. So Clinton did the little bullshit Assault Weapons Act in like, what was it, 94? And then it sunset. And now somehow, even though the Assault Weapons Act expired, crime has continued to go down. That's strange. That's strange, because I was told that assault weapons were the cause of all the crime. Well, in reality, the cause of all the crime is handguns. Handguns in the hands of black men. No one on TV will tell you that. Maybe somebody on Fox or OAN or, you know, one of the Newsmax, whatever it is. Somebody conservative, somebody on the right, somebody libertarian might tell you that. Anybody center left or left is not going to tell you that. And the reason they don't want you to talk about that is, number one, that would require us to actually figure out what the problem is in these inner cities where there's so much gang violence, places like Chicago. What's going on there? Is it the systemic racism? Maybe, but those cities have been run, and states have been run by Democrats for 50, 60, 70 years. So if there's systemic racism in there, that means the Democrats built that systemic racism in. What's go- Oh, we might also have to address the fact that, you know, boys are being raised without fathers because we have welfare and just like this fucking rap mentality of, bitches and hoes, bands that make her dance, and whatever else they can come up with. But like, it's a societal issue. You can have all the guns in the world and not go around shooting people. I'm from South Georgia. There are a lot of people with guns who never go out and shoot people. Why? Because it's not something you do. You just don't do it. But in Chicago, it seems to be a rite of passage to go shoot somebody with a pistol. And, they can never, like, they don't know how to shoot. That's the thing. They don't know how to shoot. So they just shoot all over the place. They hit a bunch of little kids on the playground. They shoot through walls and windows and kill little kids and innocent people. And it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. And nobody addresses it. Nobody addresses it. And least of all, the Democrats. I've heard conservative types, Republicans, over and over talk about this issue. How many times do you hear Democrats talking about inner city gang violence and what we can do to stop it? The only time they would ever talk about it is in reference to gun control. Except those people are not using rifles. They use pistols. But they don't want to talk about that because you can't win a war with pistols. The reason they always go after rifles is because they don't want you to be able to withstand what they do next. That's the whole point. The whole point of the Second Amendment is for us to be able to protect ourselves from the government and to be on equal footing with the government. They don't want that. They want to be able to do whatever they want, as you can see from 2020. Even when it makes no sense, everybody stay home. Even when we see that those places make everything worse, stay home. Don't go outside, don't exercise, don't get vitamins, don't be in the sun. Stay inside your house. Eat, drink, be merry. Everybody got fat. Everybody was drunk. Their immune systems were low. And everybody saw other people. Like, no, I don't know of anybody who's actually stayed in their house alone for a year. They don't want you to own rifles because if you own rifles, you can withstand the military. You can withstand the National Guard. You can withstand outside forces interfering with our government. If China decides to invade, they're going to fuck up because we all have rifles. We can shoot them. There are more of them than there are of us, but they're going to have a really hard time getting all those people over here. And we can shoot them when they come in. But they don't want you to own rifles because they want to have full control and power over you. That is the entire point. That is why they always focus on rifles. It's never really about the pistols. Even in this new HR 127, they address some pistols, but really what they're addressing are things like my AR-15 pistol. They don't give a shit about the pistols. And the pistols are what kill the vast majority of people in this country. I think you're 19 times more likely, if you're killed by a gun in the United States, you're 19 times more likely to be killed by a pistol than a rifle, okay? But they only talk about rifles. Why is that? Because they only want to address the people who have the ability to say no to them. They never talk about anything else because they are full of shit. That is why we have zero tolerance for gun control now, because they have instituted gun control in the past. They've instituted 1934 NFA. Didn't really change much about crime. Didn't really get many guns away from gangsters because, again, gangsters are breaking the law, right? They're breaking the law. They don't give a fuck about your laws. They're going to do what they want. And then in, 94? Clinton did it again. Didn't really change anything. Didn't make a dent in anything. but they keep wanting to do it. The reason they want to do it is because they eventually want to take your guns away, like with this HR 127, like that what dumbass Beto O'Rourke said, hell yes, we're coming for your AR-15s. Come on, you skinny motherfucker. I will bust your ass in the fucking street. I will fuck you in the street. Tyler Dasher, 2009. Anyway, I think that's enough of yelling. Oh yeah, just one more thing. Speaking of the military, China now thinks we're a joke. If you saw the footage from Anchorage when they said we're not in a position of strength to tell them to do anything, they are absolutely right, because we have a Pentagon, we have military that is more concerned about white supremacists than they are about China or Russia or Iran or any of the other places that actually mean to do us harm, who would take over in a second if they thought they could get away with it. They don't focus on that anymore. No, they're focusing on getting more women in the military, which is just the dumbest fucking thing that you could possibly focus on. We should not be focused on the sex, the race, the national origin, any of that of soldiers. We should be focusing on soldiers who can kill people and who can assist other soldiers in killing people. China is developing super soldiers with CRISPR. They're developing super soldiers as fast as they can possibly get there, and we're busy making sure that pregnant women can fly our fighter jets. Even though pregnant women aren't supposed to do basically anything, but Joe Biden is making sure that there are maternity flight suits for women so that they can fly those fighter jets around. And Steven Crowder today said that, that's fine. You can fly that fighter jet around, but the baby is going to be mashed potatoes after that. And yeah, like you're going to be pulling what, like 2, 3, 4 Gs? I mean, I think sometimes like 7 is going to kill a baby. So why would you even want a pregnant woman to be in the fighter jet if it's going to kill her baby? You obviously don't have her best interest in mind. You obviously don't have the baby's best interest in mind. So what's the point? Well, my opinion, I think the point is to weaken the military as much as possible, because Joe Biden seems to be in the pocket of China, right? It seems pretty fucking obvious to me. His son got millions of dollars, interest-free loan from China. He flew his son to China for this deal on Air Force Two, right? His son then takes all this money. He gets money from China, from Ukraine, and then he buys a big fucking house and gives it to his dad. Okay? Joe Biden may not be directly benefiting, even though we all know he is, right? Because the Bob Alinsky dude came out and said, yeah, he's directly benefiting. Even if he's not directly benefiting, which he fucking is, he's indirectly benefiting from all of this. And at the same time, he's trying to make our country as weak as fucking possible. He's trying to weaken the military. It does not strengthen the military to have more pregnant women in it. That is just an asinine statement any way that you cut it. If you think that, again, you are fucking retarded. If you want to have pregnant women in the military, fine. They can do other things. They don't need to be flying fighter jets. They don't need to be in frontline combat, because they can't even carry themselves around half the time. They can barely walk once they get past a few months pregnancy. Are they going to fucking carry 80 pounds or 100 pounds on their back and fucking run around with a rifle shooting at people? No, of course not. So why is the focus on that? The focus should be on getting soldiers who can kill other people, other soldiers, as best as possible. But why would we do that? That's only the job of the military, right? No, the military's all woke. Everybody's woke. And this is why I am pretty sure that this country is over. There's nowhere for us to go. We got a couple options. We could try to split, right? But how would you split it? The divisions are too deep to be reconciled. You have people who want to destroy everything that the Constitution stands for, uh, people who want to destroy the country, people who want to destroy the basic systems that we have in our cities, counties, states, and federal government because they view those as systemically racist, which is, again, just moronic. Because the places where all the bad shit happens are run by Democrats. They've been run by Democrats for decades and decades, and 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 still people just keep voting for the same people. Maybe vote for the fucking Republican one goddamn time and see what fucking happens. Just once, right? What's the definition of insanity? I don't even know if this is a real definition, but I heard it in that movie. Was it Con Air? The definition of insanity. Oh no, that was when they were talking about Leonard Skinner. That was irony. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Why would you vote for the same party, the same politicians, the same people for 50 or 60 years? They always screw you over, they never fix things, and you just keep voting for them. There's no logic behind it. And maybe I'll get to this at some other point. I don't think most people should be voting, honestly. Like, we should have civics classes, right? I don't think most people even took a civics class, much less passed it. People don't even know how the fucking government functions. Why should they be voting? Oh, that brings me to my other point. At the same time, the Democrats are trying to make it easier for absolutely anybody to vote. They don't want you to have to show an ID. You can just sign a piece of paper saying, yes, I'm this person. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be no fraud there. They want to make it legal for 16-year-olds to register. They want to make ballot harvesting legal in all states. They want mail-in voting in all states. They want to make it as easy as possible for absolutely anybody to cast a vote with zero proof of who they are. And at the same time, they're trying to make it incredibly hard for you to own a firearm. Okay? Firearms are protected by that Constitution. Remember that? Second Amendment. It says, shall not be infringed. It doesn't say shall not be infringed unless we come up with a few reasons. There is no absolute right to vote. You don't have a real right to vote. You have a right to vote sometimes, but you can impose different things like they had poll taxes and things like that, which probably I don't think they had like the best intentions. You know, they were just trying to keep certain races from being able to vote. But at this point, you know, we have public education for everybody, and we throw billions and billions and billions of dollars at education every single year. Teachers pat themselves on the back at every possible moment. If they're patting themselves on the back, they're probably doing a good job, right? So we should at least expect people to be able to read. I think it's not a bad idea to have at least like a basic literacy test or, you know, like a multiple choice, right? So that like, even if you're really fucking dumb, like you still got a shot, you know, just a few civics questions. How many branches of the federal government are there? Okay, 3, right? It's not that hard, but you have to have people who have some vested interest voting. If you just allow absolutely anyone to vote, they will come up with the dumbest things to vote for, like mean tweets from a president. That's the dumbest thing you can vote for. Who the fuck cares? Oh, well, there's no more mean tweets, but China is going to probably take over. They're definitely going to invade Taiwan. And there's not a fucking thing we can do to stop anybody from doing anything. But hey, as long as we have enough pregnant women flying our jets around, we're going to be safe. All right, I'll stop now. Jeez. What else was I going to say? Basically, I think the country's over. Um, I don't know where it goes from here. Uh, I said 10 years ago that I don't think this country is going to be around for another 50 years. Now I don't think it's going to be around for another 20. There's just no way. There's just such a divide among the people. People have two completely different sets of facts, two completely different realities, because some people only listen to media and news from the left. Most of those people. If you're on the right, you can't help but get some news from the left because most of the news comes from the left. So even if you don't want to, you still get a little bit of that influence. You're not completely tucked away. The people on the left are completely fucking tucked away. All you have to do is not turn on Fox News. All you have to do is not, click on any Daily Wire links, and then you will have zero input from anybody right of center. There's not really any place for us to go at this point. You can't really split the states correctly. Um, I don't think that would even be like the best idea. We would basically have to have a complete retooling of the government, and I don't see that happening. So I think eventually what's going to happen is we're going to decide. Some people are going to decide that there are enough domestic enemies of the Constitution to do something about it, and at that point, this is going to go bad. Everything's going to go to shit. And if you think you won't be affected, just wait till the power goes out. All of this is an illusion if there's no power. There is no Twitter, there is no Facebook, there is no Google, there is no information except what you have in your head and what you have in a book. The power goes out, we're all fucked. But I won't be here. I'll be gone. And that's it for me. Bye bye.